Okay, welcome back to the Enshrouded Adventures. So last video we finally got double jump and managed to unlock the new area. There are a couple of little quests that require double jump, or that at least are made a lot easier with double jump. This is one of them, just quickly going to run in and get the crucible. You could take explosives and blow up the rock and dash through, but I find that double jump is actually the easier way. So okay, I missed the jump there, but no one behind me just yet. And yeah, double jump in, get the crucible, completely safe. We have bigger fish to fry with our double jump skills though, so running around the Nomad Highlands, at the very edge you'll eventually find this cave. You can know it when you find it because it's got a golden chest buried up there that requires a lockpick. We are at the very base of a mountain and we want to get to the top. We're essentially going to be jumping, double jumping, gliding, dry humping the wall. We're just going to do everything we can to get up. So I won't show you the entire climb because it is quite time consuming, but I'll show you the at least the start to give you an idea of how you approach going up a wall like this. So really you're just looking for little corners, you're looking for little ledges, you're looking for the next spot that you might be able to stand on or roll up or glide along or stick to in some way. Pretty much you're just looking for the next little bit of height. You don't have to look at the entire thing and go, okay, I need to go here, there, steps 1 to 1,000. Just looking ahead, the next couple of steps will do. If you hit a dead end, you can always go down a little bit lower and go around a different way. There's no one right pathway up. I've done this climb probably a half dozen times now, and I think I've yet to do it the exact same way twice. This isn't actually the smoothest run that I'm showing you, like that dive bomb that I just did there while gliding. I didn't actually mean to do that, but I kept this one in out of the other climbs that I've done just because this one's happening during daylight hours, so you can very clearly see what sort of ledges I'm going for, what sort of nooks and crannies. That's not to say that it can't be done at night, but like a lot of things, daytime makes it a lot easier. Okay, so just showing you on the map where we are in comparison to the tower, just so you know which mountain it is we're actually climbing. We get to the top, we stick down an altar, and we will get back to that in just a second, but just because at this point I was just shy of level 3, I figured some random exploration couldn't hurt, just to nudge us to the next level. There are quite a lot of areas to explore in the Nomad Highlands. It is extremely dangerous, as you can see here. This is, well, the mobs that were following me just in this little section. There's scorpions, there's dogs, there's guys with swords. I don't even know what else is outside the tent. It's quite dangerous. But to get XP, you don't need to be carrying and risking anything valuable or fighting. We're pretty much just streaking our way through the map. But whatever works. Okay, so we get level 3, a couple of free skill points, back to the tower that we were at the base of after climbing that mountain. And the main reason that we wanted to get access to this tower, we can get to the second level, we can't get to the top of the tower yet, but we can get to the second level, go out this door, glide down to here. If there's a way to open this other door from the inside, I don't know what it is, but we can glide down easily enough. And this here chest gives us level 30 equipment. So we are going to be coming back to check on that chest every time the chests in the world reset, and level 30 equipment is a big boost compared to anything else that we can get at this stage of the game. So just got given a wand. Different weapons are useful for different areas. A wand I find particularly useful for fighting the Scavenger Gorger Matron. It's a quest we have to do at some point. That's essentially the next big boss on the list. So off we go to the town that she's located in. So I've realised that I've been sort of cherry picking the scenes that I've been showing throughout. So you see me running past things successfully, jumping and dodging, and no one's really touching me. I thought I'd just put this little montage in just to show that I am still on super hard nightmare mode here. Like, just getting out of the spawn point and into the town was actually really quite time consuming. Quite often you can actually spawn and die before you even get a chance to move forwards. Like, you've pressed forwards but you haven't registered yet and you're shot or slashed in the back or the front. Anyway, this town might have been an extreme example of that, which is why I'm dying quite so many times in a row at the spawn point. But this does have an advantage. So once I do get out of the town, I can go lure anyone else from the town back to this little nightmare spawn location, and these guys will deal with all the enemies for me. I in fact emptied out almost the entire town overnight just doing that. Wait for the nighttime gremlins to despawn, pick up all the loot, and hey presto, we're up to the scavenger matron without too much pain. Like, yes, okay, getting out of that spawn point in order to lure the village back to it was annoying, but not nearly as annoying as it would have been to fight, say, those green guys with swords that are sprinkled throughout the town, or just hordes of dogs, or whatever else there was. Those guys at the spawn point really cleaned up for me. So, scavenger matron fight. You can probably see why I was so keen to get decent weaponry before taking this on. Even with a wand that's just way over leveled compared to what we should be at for this stage of the game, we're barely scratching the surface with her. If you're wondering why I'm running in and out so often, there's a guy on the left with one of those explosive crossbows, and I never did figure out how to lure him out easily. He seems pretty well entrenched. So anyway, the wand we have plus a couple of arrow shots is just enough to take this big bad down. Quite a lot of XP for this mode. Not going to make a dent towards our next level, but still quite a lot for a single fight. But it is another boss down. Progress is progress. We'll take the wins where we can get them. Okay, so looting up and getting out of here before the entire town respawns and causes me a big headache. And we've been at this town so long that it's time to go back to our tower at the top of that mountain we scaled earlier and loot that chest again. There is actually one specific drop that we would like from this chest, but for the time being we'll just take whatever we can get. So a bow and a melee weapon, that actually leaves us pretty geared weapon-wise for the immediate future. I don't really tend to use staves, so a level 30 bow, wand and melee weapon, that'll do for quite some time. So this isn't necessary, what I'm showing here, but it is a nice bonus. So this area is really quite good for destroying the objects and just looting up. You can get all sorts of stuff here, not just nails, which is nice for building chests back home and staying organized, but rare ores like silver, iron, obsidian stone. Sometimes you can get things to help with building, say, explosive arrows. There's really a huge range of different stuff that can drop from destructibles in this area. So as resources are normally pretty scarce on this difficulty because, well, we can't really fight for any of the good mining spots without really sinking in the time. This is one of the places that I like to stock up on miscellaneous supplies. If every time I loot the chest I come down here and also do a little bit of a cleanup, just pick up what I can, destroy what I can, when later it comes time when it's saying something like, to build an advanced glider you need some sort of leather or whatever it is, chances are that I'll probably have a small supply of it from just having picked it up in these, well, let's call them loot boxes, because that's what we're treating them as. I do get faster at running through and looting the bulk of this place after a bit of practice, but at this stage I was just happy to be getting any drops really, so I was destroying everything and hoovering up everything inside. I think what probably encouraged me most to do that though was not the fact that I'd have supplies at my base, but the fact that you can get experience scrolls dropping. And I was curious at this stage, because I hadn't tried it, to see if I could actually get level ups by farming these loot drops. Spoiler warning, no, that's not a very good method, but that's something I had to find out by actually giving it a shot. If you've remembered to take your lockpicks, you can actually glide down to the bottom of the mountain and open that locked chest from before. To my knowledge, it's strictly inferior to the chests up above. The weapon levels that it drops are, well, sub 30, and I've never seen it drop anything that isn't a weapon. But that doesn't mean that it can't, I guess. So every now and then I like to glide down and open it up just on the off chance I get some armor piece, which is really great, or something like that. You never know. And it's not that far out of our way considering we're halfway down the mountain anyway on our loot run. Although, that being said, I should point out you shouldn't try doing this glide, A, when it's raining or if you're wet, because you just won't have the stamina, and B, if it's completely dark, because you need to be able to see where you're landing, otherwise you're just going to roll down the cliff and fall to your death. You might notice that my stamina was going down quite slowly while gliding there, so that level up that we just managed to scrounge up, that was enough points to get both double jump and airborne, which means we lose 30% less stamina while gliding. It's a very nice pick to have, and it's actually essential for the next segment that we're going to be doing, the next 2 segments in fact. But at this stage, I just sort of point out that the glide from the top of the mountain to the bottom on these settings, normally you're not going to have that much stamina left, generally. I haven't switched game modes or anything. Okay, so opening up the chest, a couple of weapons lower than level 30, so we'll disenchant them into runes. Back to trying to get all the towers. So this is as close as I can get to that tower in the distance. That is to say, not very close. There's an impassable barrier of red fog between us and the tower at this stage. But it is possible to build your base as just a staircase and glide off the top of that. One of the things I really like about this game, no area is really off limits if you actually want to just think outside the box a little. No invisible walls, no truly impassable barriers. The map is, of course, limited eventually. You go far enough and you'll find yourself dying of hypothermia or something like that. But just for general map exploration, I really do appreciate being able to do this sort of thing in games. So, anyway, back to what's happening. This was a bit of a test to see if I could make the distance after building the staircase as high as I could off a level 1 base. And as you can see, I'm just shy. So I've got 2 options here. I could upgrade my base to level 2 to allow me to build higher, but we do need the updraft skill for what we want to do next anyway, and updraft would also solve our problem of not quite making the glide. So I said in the last video there was a point in this series of videos where we need to switch over from stamina to magic gear. And this is that point, because updraft requires 100 mana per use. And at the moment, we have nowhere near that. I think we have 30, maybe 35. So we're going to have to equip all the magic gear we can. And on top of that, we're also going to have to eat some sage leaves, which boosts our mana up to the point where we'll be able to do a single updraft. So yes, 35 mana, if you saw there, I was just checking briefly. Back to base and switching gear. Yes, my base is very disorganized. For those that like tidy bases, I pretty much just throw all my equipment into boxes and forget about it for, well, one day I'll build a real base and tidy everything up, but it's not exactly a high priority at this stage. Okay, so stocking up on sage leaves. I realized I probably should have stocked up on mana potions, but not having even used any magic by this point in the game, it really just didn't occur to me. So anyway, back we go. First stop is back to that failed glide to try and reach the tower. Let's see how we go this time. Much more confident about this now we have an updraft juice at our disposal, but just to be extra sure, I built my base out to the very edge of where I can for level 1. At this stage, I haven't got an infinite supply of sage herbs, and it's extremely time consuming to grow them, thanks to the settings that we chose at the start, so didn't want to risk wasting one. Okay, so one successful updraft, and you can see the difference it makes in the height that we get for our glide. So here you might notice that I'm carrying all my stuff for a change, not wanting to risk losing it and having to glide to the exact same part of this side of the cliff face again. My jumping is a little bit hectic. I also don't know this area quite as well as I know a lot of other areas in the game. So this is the Kindle Waste that we're running through, and in fact saying that I don't know this area very well is a bit of an understatement. The area between where I land and getting to the tower the first time, this is a run that you have to make maybe once a game, ideally. It's not a very big run, but I do get sort of caught out by, well, I won't spoil it for you. It's only a couple of seconds away. You might get a bit of a chuckle. So over this rock face, if I'd fallen down that gap there, I would have been in big trouble. There would be no way to get back up after falling down somewhere like that. The best I'd be able to hope for would be a quick death so that my items would spawn at the top of where I fell rather than down the bottom somewhere. But my straight line dash gets just a little bit worse. I mean, nearly falling in a hole with all my items, that is bad and gets your heart pumping just a little bit, but it's only a little scare. You pull yourself back from the edge, you're all okay. Just up ahead, you'll see me go into full-on panic mode. I'm carrying all my items with me, by the way, so that I can use them in the tower just up ahead. Again, it's meant to be just a short run, just a straight dash, but as you can see, I jump into a nest, and in my panic, I jump through 2 more nests, and now it's on. Now I have to make the dash before those guys rip me to shreds, and I have to go get my items out of their nest. Not to mention having to use another sage herb to make the glide again, and it would just be a debacle. So anyway, of all the moments and all the vids, I think that's the moment right there where I was panicking the most. Phew, save point reached. Can just go fall over to these guys, take a couple of swings. Not going to do anything, but I am curious as to the damage it does. Unsurprisingly, none. Okay, wait for them to leave. Go get my loot again. And the actual tower itself is no problem. This is not a tower with any particular tricks or traps that we need to be careful of, so not going to bother showing any scenes from inside it. We're just going to skip to the top. The next tower that we do has quite a lot of stuff on the inside that deserves a bit of a look in, but for the Kindle wastes, we can just say, hey, hooray, put in the time, and we've lit the flame. We've got the teleport option now. All is good. Okay, so for the next tower, we're going to be trying to do it well ahead of when we're meant to be trying to do it in the game. So you're meant to unlock advanced gliders and use them. We're going to be doing this with just the uplift skill. We've got the equipment and we're stockpiled up on sage leaves, so with a level 1 glider and an updraft combined with the winds in the middle of this tower, we can get to this area. And this is where I realised that I really should have stockpiled up some mana potions. So, already eaten my sage herb. Would rather see how far along I can get now that I've started. I will skip over the boring waiting for my mana bar to climb back up and show you what we're doing here. So, 4 levels on the way up, 4 buttons. That one I had already pressed on a previous attempt but had fallen down or kicked the bucket to these traps that you can see in the air. Again, I'm just cherry-picking the successful things to show you rather than boring you with all the failed attempts. This tower we really want to get it because it gives us a second chest with equipment level 30, so it doubles our chances of getting the item that we're really looking to find as soon as possible. I mean, yes, this tower will give us teleport to the area so we can free up an altar. That's always nice. You only get a limited number and you want them in key locations around the world, so having a teleport tower instead of an altar to rely on, that's great. You can see why I've had a couple of failed attempts here, by the way. Those lightning bolts, I dodged them then, but I would say I was probably lucky. It's not like I have a plan for them. I'm sure I could probably figure out the exact timing, but worst case scenario, you get knocked down a level or 2. It's not the end of the world. Compared to some of the things that we've had to be persistent with, well, this is nothing. I thought I'd show you how to do this with the level 1 glider, all the glides, just in case you try to copy me, because other videos on YouTube assume that you have a more advanced glider, so they will take different routes to hit the buttons. Essentially, we have to do an extra glide or 2 just to make sure. Smashing all these pots, they can have any sort of loot in them pretty much, and, well, again, we're just waiting for our mana bar to climb up before being able to do another updraft. It passes the time. Okay, so the 4th button, that actually opens a door down below where they have a nice golden chest, so do get that when you finish the tower, but I suggest you finish the tower first and then jump down and get the chest, otherwise you have to do all that gliding all over again, which would be pretty suboptimal. Anyway, that's the 2nd floor done. We have unlocked the Albanese summits, and just in the distance you can see the doors that lead to the level 30 chest I was talking about. It's got some traps. It's probably the easiest set of traps in the game to avoid, but I'll run through anyway. Don't worry about the hypothermia because as soon as you get inside that goes away. So this is just a room full of fireballs and lava. All we have to do is choose a fireball and run behind it, and you're probably going to be okay. Press both the buttons and the door to the chest opens. So just nice and steady, no need to risk anything. This room probably looks a lot more daunting than it is. Especially with double jump, things like this, even if a boulder we find coming our way and we're out of position or something, we can just double jump and get back into position. Okay, so here's the chest I was talking about. Only a weapon this time. We'll add it to the stockpile of weapons just in case we lose our gear. It's nice to have a decent stockpile of backup weapons, but for the time being, let's just go remove our altar from out the front. And now we've got some time to kill, and we're feeling pretty geared with weapons that we can afford to lose if worst comes to worst. It's time to go do another basic of the game and go unlock the Carpenter. The Carpenter is unusual among survivors in that you have to run through the Shroud to get to him, and that's not necessarily a problem. We've done plenty of quests so far, or with Shroud routes and the like, where we have to run through the Shroud. That's okay, but the area of the Shroud in this little structure that he's located in, it has bunches of critter spawners, bug spawners, whatever you want to call them, just those structures that generate creepy crawlies. And to get through, I feel you, on these settings at least, you need explosive arrows. So the bug spawners are located down in a sort of a valley, a chasm, down below where you have to go and you're up high. If you jump down, you're just crispy toasty because they'll swarm you, and it doesn't matter how good your weapons are. When it's one-hit death to bugs, then vast numbers of them are going to get you, and then of course we can't jump down and get our weaponry. So I leave this quest until I have a fair supply of explosive arrows, and the stuff to make them comes from that farming route that I showed you just before. Or at least that's how I collected the materials for explosive arrows in this game. I'm sure there are other ways, but since I'm doing those farming routes anyway, I figured I could wait to get the Carpenter until I had the supplies from just playing as normal. Also, those little hovering bosses, I'm making short work of them now that I've got level 30 bows and wands, but they can be annoying if you're earlier in the game. Not super problematic, as you saw, it's very easy to dodge them, but time consuming is probably a better way of putting it. Okay, so now that we're feeling tough, we're going to go clear out a couple of Shroud routes from different areas, just the easy ones, pick off what we can. Every skill point is still quite valuable to us, and again we have some time while farming those chests in the Albanese summits. We're pretty much doing a quest, going back to the chests, doing a Shroud route, going back to the chests. It will be worthwhile though, eventually we'll get what we're after. In the meantime, skill points are still one of our top priorities, so here we are fighting some more Fell Thunder Brutes. A little bit of practice now. This is not the first of these guys I've fought on this difficulty. I've got the method a bit down pat. Once you clear an area, of course, you wait for them to do their mid-range swing with their sword, their one-tooth chop, and as their chop comes down, here it comes now, one-tooth chop, you run in and you get 4 or 5 attacks on them, you back out, rinse, repeat. Doesn't work if there's anyone else at all in the area, but does mean that combined with all our other tricks, we can at least clear out all the easy Shroud routes. It's time consuming, but that's okay, we have the time. The reason that we still want skill points, so yes, we have enough for double jump and updraft at the same time, but we're actually done with both those skills now. Well, we may need double jump again later, but for the time being we can unspec all those and work towards our next major skill tree milestone, and that's going to allow us to be friends with animals. We don't yet have enough skill points for that, but we are getting close. In fact, after this Shroud route just up ahead, we only need 2 more skill points to be able to unlock the Beastmaster skill. So there are a few more things I'd like to squeeze into this video before winding it up, so I'm going to do them. But then at the end we'll unlock Beastmaster. I'll show exactly why it's so important that we get it. It's far from just being a luxury pick. And then that'll probably make a good point to stop this phase of the adventures, wind up the second vid, and if you're interested there'll be one more vid to wind it all up. Okay, so one more Shroud route. May have snuck past a couple of enemies and one obviously noticed me. Well, it doesn't matter. I got the skill point and that's what matters. And now, just before we were going to unlock Beastmaster, I get a little bit distracted because finally, after opening I don't even know how many of these level 30 chests, we got the item that we were farming for. So here it is, an exceptional ring of stamina. So stamina has been the main sticking point, stopping us from progressing through other parts of the map. This item, I feel, nudges us past that barrier and allows us to get into places like these tar pits are possibly a good example. So just running past here, you can't stop and pause or the flowers will get you. You need to be able to run and bounce and grapple and climb and all that, all back to back. Without that extra bit of stamina and stamina recovery, just that little bit tricky. And if you're not convinced, wait for the next tower after this one and you'll see that ring of stamina is absolutely necessary. But for the moment, yes, we possibly could have made it into this tar pits tower without it. Maybe. I think it would have been a real struggle, but whatever the case, I was waiting for that ring before I did all this stuff. I think it's a lot easier. So this tower is actually a real pain in the butt on these settings, I discovered. So because of the daylight, I've got my altar plonked at the bottom, as always, but by the time I get up near the top, it's nearly dark, so I really only get one, maybe two runs up, and oh man, one slip and fall and you got to redo the whole thing, which means you've got to go wait for the next day cycle. Jumping on the branches and flying around in the dark, just not really a good plan. Also, it's not what I would call a finished product, this little jumping puzzle. So just up ahead, you'll see where my last dead body is, and it's in a very random looking place. I just slipped between the branches and the tree and couldn't get out. I just had to wait to starve to death and then sleep until the next day and try it all again. And it's not the only place on this tower which is like that. I realise the game is still in early access and they're still fixing things, and I assume they'll get to it. As I said before, one of the main appeals of this game is the map. Like, they really went all out on it, so I'm certainly willing to cut them a bit of slack when it comes to some areas which have not been completely tested or completely proofed against the whole slip and you just have to wait until you die. But it does mean that this tower took me a particularly long time to do. So you can see it is quite the climb. Not even stopping for pressing any buttons or killing the wisps or all that sort of stuff's done. Even so, just a straight line path. It does just seem to keep on going. Anyway, here's my body that I was talking about. Just going to inch forwards and... Okay, success, hooray. If I slipped in while looting my body, I was dead again and would have to do this all over again. It happened quite a lot, actually, where I had to, well, run up, get my body from the last run through, and then run and continue on to do as much of the tower as I could before dark. This was the last of those attempts. As you can see, got my body and I was right near the top. Anyway, success. Black Maya Tower unlocked. We can now teleport to the tar pits whenever we feel like it. So back to what we were doing before we got our ring of stamina, and that is unlocking Beastmaster. Huzzah! This is a major game changer. Of course, we've sacrificed every other skill to be able to unlock it. So why is it so good? Best way to answer that question is to take it out for a spin. So here I am in the Nomad Highlands, just running around, no fear of saber-tooths attacking me of course, but hey look, there's a fight up ahead, let's go check it out. It's saber-tooths versus nighttime creatures, and if you look at my XP, it is shooting up. So my guy wouldn't be able to win against one of these guys, let alone entire packs. Not without some really careful planning and probably finding a vantage spot with some arrows and generally cheesing things. But now I get to just run around, and not only do I get the XP, I get the loot as well, because the surviving saber-tooths aren't going to be attacking me. Yeah, unlocking Beastmaster means we're finally going to be able to get off level, what are we at the moment, 4 after all this time? We've actually got XP coming in now just by running around. So XP and the skill points associated with XP, loot and the things we can build with loot, all those problems have been solved with the one skill pick. And it's not just saber-tooths either. So in the tar pits, which we just unlocked, the wisps no longer attack, which if you've ever been trying to run away from wisps, it is a real problem. They are fast, they are accurate, they multiply, they're just a problem. Here's the tower in the Kindle Wastes that we unlocked earlier. I'm going to fly over the red mist and dump down an altar on this next landmass as well. I was putting this aside because on this next landmass, scorpions are the main threat. And scorpions, again, they come in large packs of numbers. They come out of everywhere. They're, well, super dangerous. I mean, everything's a one-shot kill, even wolves in the opening area, which, again, they don't attack us either now. Pretty much anywhere we go, it's just going to be bonuses from the skill now. Like, even when I land here. Oh, look, there's a fight happening in the distance. I'll probably get XP for that if I hang around long enough. Pretty much every area in the game, except for the last tower that we're going to, it's all just covered in animals, and having those animals on our side and getting the XP for those animals doing any sort of kills, especially because most of the time we're running around at night and these goblin guys are everywhere. Yeah, Beastmaster is just the best pick you can make. So here's a group of goblins which haven't yet despawned from the night before. I'm going to lead them back over this hill to my buds, this scorpion pack. This pack of scorpions would completely wreck me without Beastmaster, but as I do have Beastmaster, I can just bring anyone that I've got problems with to these guys and they'll clean it up for me. I get the XP, I get the loot, occasionally maybe a dead scorpion will be found amongst the wreckage and I can loot that too. Yeah, I can't really oversell just how important Beastmaster is for this difficulty. It is just, well, if there's a better pick out there, I don't know what it is. Anyway, now we've got some XP coming in nice and freely and we can run through nasty areas safely. It's time to go do some of the things which I'd been putting on the back burner until I unlocked this skill. So for instance, here's a survivor. I'm not sure survivor is the right word considering he's dead, but here's a follower we can get for our base anyway, which in order to get to you have to go past a cave full of wolves and it's just a bit of a problem. So now we just walk in, pick him up and walk out. That just saved us a couple of hours work. And just having a quick look at what's coming up next, I actually made a mistake before. I said we were all of level 4. Actually, we're only level 3 at this point. We've really done quite a lot for only gaining 2 levels. Anyway, the days of not leveling up are behind us now. Here's me just running through the dark and I happen to level up just randomly. While still not super common, this will happen quite a bit now. Just by playing the game, we're going to get levels. Assuming we never unspec from Beastmaster, which I don't think we ever will. Okay, so spending skill points, we'd like to unlock double jump again because it really is one of the more useful skills in the game. After we do that, then we can start working towards our next goal. It's certainly not wasted points to unlock double jump. Okay, back to doing some more quests, which we'd left on the back burner just because they were super annoying, but now they're super easy. So this is just running through a dungeon full of spiders. I really should have done the spindle quest this way, but again I hadn't come up with the plan of Beastmaster at that stage. I was still looking at other skill lines thinking, well, maybe if I go down this combat route, maybe that combat route. Anyway, as you can see, a dungeon full of spiders. They don't even look at me. Occasionally they can be a little bit annoying to run past because they block the corridors and you can't just clear them aside. I didn't want to risk jumping on them. I've made a mistake, which I haven't bothered showing, but is still worth knowing. In one instance, I was swinging my weapon to open a blocked off door, and I happened to hit a spider on the other side, and suddenly it was just chaos. If you are following in my footsteps and you find yourself also doing that, where, hang on now, how do I get through the dungeon, how do I get through whatever it is you're trying to do, just back off, and when the chests of the world respawn and it's time to go farm our level 31s again, the creatures' aggros will also reset. So you can go back to whatever dungeon it is that you've made the mistake with and start again. Of course, the whole dungeon will have reset as well, all the doors and tombs or whatever it is, but anyway, just a useful trick to know. So, We have plenty of runes from our disenchanting. We disenchant any weapon from any chest that isn't level 30, and even our level 30 items. We've got such a supply of them now, we can disenchant them as well sometimes. So when we need to respec, for instance, when we need to go into the Shroud and we need a bit more time because our Shroud timer is still exceptionally low, we can do that with ease. So feeling pretty tough, we're going to take on 2 more Elixir Wells. This first one, nothing particularly special about it, it's just clear it out and take out the Shroud root. Done it a bunch of times before. This second one, I thought I'd just show you one of the main ways I've been clearing out these Elixir Wells. And this is probably what caused that first Fell Thunderbrute to be so stuck in that first Elixir Well. So taking a pickaxe, most things are destructible. Here's a wall which is a bit difficult to climb. I'm just going to make a staircase up which the enemy can't get up and just shoot them from above. So this is the first Elixir Well where you meet one of the, I don't even know what you call them, the big bugs, the queen bugs. Anyway, there's a lot of bugs in this particular Elixir Well and there is no way that I would be able to fight from the ground. Okay, here's my guy shooting into the big queen bug. You can see it can't fight back because there's no way it can reach me, so it's just going to stand there and cop it. But once I take it down, I'll fire a couple of fire arrows so you can see, but there are just bugs absolutely everywhere. And if I was to be on the ground, I would be crispy toasty quick smart. This particular Elixir Well is actually requiring a bit of a combination of things, so we need more time in the Shroud. So we need the skill points to be able to do that. We need enough explosive arrows, so we need to have farmed our farm spot enough to do that. We need weapons that can dig through the guys with shields. That guy I was shooting just before I started shooting the queen bug. We get those from the level 30 chests, obviously. And it all comes together anyway to be able to do that sort of Elixir Well, which allows us at long last to get double jump and Beastmaster. But we are 2 skill points shy of getting the Volca language, which is the next thing that we want. At this point, instead of going off to do a couple of Shroud routes, which I've run out of easy ones now, and instead of going off to do an Elixir Well, which again, we've run out of ones which are easy. I mean, maybe we can do one, but it would take a concerted effort. Instead of doing all that, we're just going to take the easy route and go level up. So running around, once again, the Nomad Highlands, my personal favourite. The Sabertooths come in packs and are super effective against the goblins. Anyway, a nice easy 2 skill points for leveling up. So with that, we finally have Beastmaster, Double Jump and the Volca language node unlocked. And that is probably a good place to stop this video. If you want to see why we're using the Volca language and what we get up to next, feel free to check out the 3rd and final vid to this series. For now though, that's the end of this vid, so till next time, see ya.